The shoemaker lived in a small town. He was a very hard-working man, but he had very little money. Over time, he became very poor. He was so poor that all he had left to make shoes was enough leather for just one pair of shoes. He had no more money to buy new leather, and he had no way to make more shoes. One evening, after a long day of work, the shoemaker decided to cut the leather for the shoes. He carefully cut out the pieces he would need to make one pair of shoes. He knew that this would be the last pair of shoes he could make for a long time. Even though things were very difficult for him, he did not give up. He was always honest in his work, and he always tried to do his best. After cutting the leather, the shoemaker felt tired. He looked at the pieces of leather, and then he said a little prayer. He prayed that he would get the strength to continue working, and that he would find a way to make a better life for himself. He had no idea what the future held, but he trusted that things would get better. With that thought in his mind, he went to bed. The night was long, and the shoemaker slept soundly. He woke up the next morning, feeling a little better. As he opened his eyes, he remembered the leather he had cut out the night before. He thought to himself, "Now I must make the shoes." But when he went to his workbench, he saw something amazing. To his surprise, the shoes were already finished. They were perfectly made. The stitching was neat, and the leather was smooth. The shoemaker could not believe his eyes. He looked at the shoes carefully, turning them over in his hands. They looked so beautiful, just like something you would see in a very expensive shop. He wondered who had made them. How could this happen? The shoemaker was filled with surprise and gratitude. He had never seen anything like it. He knew that he hadn't made the shoes himself, but there they were, ready to be sold. The shoemaker thought for a moment, wondering if he was dreaming. But no, it was real. The shoes were real, and they were finished. While he was still thinking about how the shoes had appeared, a man walked into the shop. He saw the shoes and immediately wanted to buy them. The man liked them very much and paid more money than the shoemaker usually asked for. This was a big surprise. The shoemaker had not expected to make much money from these shoes, but the customer had paid extra. With this extra money, the shoemaker could now buy leather for 2 more pairs of shoes. The shoemaker felt a great sense of relief. He now had enough money to continue his work. He thanked God for the blessing and felt a little more hopeful. He could not believe how everything had changed so quickly. Just a few days ago, he had no leather left and no money. But now, because of the sale of the shoes, he had enough money to buy more leather. The shoemaker decided to work hard again the next evening. He cut out the leather for 2 new pairs of shoes. He worked carefully, just like the night before. As he looked at the pieces of leather, he thought about the miracle that had happened with the first pair of shoes. Who could have helped him? The shoemaker was still curious about the mysterious person or people who had made the shoes for him. But he did not know the answer. For now, he was happy that he could keep working. That night, after cutting the leather, the shoemaker went to bed again. He felt a little more hopeful than before. He knew that he still had a long way to go, but he believed that things were starting to get better. He lay down, closed his eyes, and fell asleep, still wondering about the mysterious helper who had made his shoes the night before. In the morning, when he woke up, he was excited to see what would happen next. He walked over to his workbench, and to his surprise, the 2 new pairs of shoes were already made. They were just as beautiful as the first pair. The shoemaker could hardly believe it. He had not done anything to make their shoes. He had only cut the leather. But there they were, perfect and ready to be sold. The shoemaker smiled and felt grateful. He thought to himself, "Whoever is helping me, thank you so much." He was amazed by how everything seemed to be working out. He was still unsure who was making the shoes, but he was beginning to feel that someone kind was helping him, and for that, he was very thankful. With these 2 new pairs of shoes, the shoemaker knew he could continue his work. The mystery of who was helping him was still unsolved, but he didn't mind. He was happy to be able to continue working and provide for himself. He prayed once more, thankful for this unexpected help, and went on with his day, excited for what tomorrow would bring. The next morning, the shoemaker woke up feeling hopeful. He had not expected to find the shoes already finished again, but to his surprise, the 2 pairs of shoes that he had cut out the night before were perfectly made. The stitches were neat, and the leather looked smooth. He stood there for a moment, looking at the shoes in wonder. He had only cut the leather, and yet the shoes were now ready for sale. He smiled and thanked the mysterious helper in his heart. With these 2 new pairs of shoes, he could now make some money and buy more leather to keep his work going. Soon after, a customer came into the shop. The customer saw the shoes and liked them very much. He paid the shoemaker more money than the usual price. The shoemaker was surprised and happy. With this extra money, he could now buy enough leather to make 4 pairs of shoes. That evening, the shoemaker worked again. He cut the leather for 4 new pairs of shoes, feeling more confident than before. He knew that things were getting better, even though he still didn't know who was helping him. But at that moment, he felt grateful. He went to bed that night, thinking that perhaps the next day would bring more surprises. When he woke up the next morning, he rushed to his workbench. Just as before, the 4 pairs of shoes were already made. The shoemaker could hardly believe it. He had not worked on them at all. The shoes were perfect and ready to be sold. He felt a wave of happiness and thankfulness fill his heart. He knew that someone, or something, was helping him, but he still didn't understand who it was. As the days went by, the same thing happened every morning. Each time he cut out the leather, he found the shoes finished the next day. The shoes were made with great skill and care, and customers came to buy them. The shoemaker's business was growing, and he could now afford to buy leather for more pairs of shoes. Soon, the shoemaker was no longer worried about money. His shop was busy, and he had plenty of leather to make shoes. He was able to live more comfortably. He could buy food and other things he needed without worrying. His life was changing, and he felt a sense of peace that he had not felt in a long time. But even though his life was getting better, the shoemaker still did not know who had been helping him. Every night, he cut out leather for the shoes, and every morning, he found them perfectly made. He wondered if it was some kind of magic or a special person who was helping him. He was grateful for the help, but he also felt curious. He wanted to know the truth. The shoemaker and his wife began to talk about what they could do to thank the mysterious helper. They had been given so much, and they wanted to show their gratitude. The wife said, "We should make something for the little man who helped us." They must be cold without clothes. The shoemaker agreed, and they decided to make clothes for the helpers. His wife sewed little shirts, coats, and trousers. The shoemaker made 2 small pairs of shoes. They worked late into the night, preparing the clothes as a gift for the mysterious helpers. The next evening, instead of cutting out leather, they placed the clothes on the workbench where the leather usually was. They hoped the little helpers would find the clothes and be happy with the gift. Then they hid behind some clothes, watching quietly to see what would happen. They waited anxiously, curious to see how the little man would react to the gift. At midnight, as they had hoped, the 2 little men appeared. They quickly went to the workbench, ready to start making shoes. But when they saw the clothes instead of the leather, they stopped. They were surprised at first, but then they became very happy. The little men quickly took off their old clothes and put on the new ones. They danced around the shop, singing with joy. "Now we are boys so fine to see. Why should we be cobblers anymore?" They sang as they jumped and skipped around the room. The shoemaker and his wife watched with smiles on their faces, feeling happy that the little men liked their gift. They had shown their gratitude in the best way they knew how, by giving something kind in return. After they had danced and laughed, the little men ran out of the shop, leaving the shoemaker and his wife in peace. From that day on, the little man never returned. But the shoemaker's business continued to grow, and he became wealthier. He was able to live a good life, and he never forgot the kindness that had been shown to him. The help he had received had made all the difference in his life. And even though he never saw the little man again, the shoemaker always remembered the importance of being kind and showing gratitude for the help of others. With the help of his mysterious friends, the shoemaker's life had changed for the better. He was no longer poor, he was happy, and his business was doing well. He knew that hard work, kindness, and gratitude were the keys to success. One night, just before Christmas, the shoemaker and his wife decided to do something special. They had been wondering for a long time who had been helping them with the shoes. They were very grateful for the help, but they didn't know who was doing it. They wanted to find out, so they decided to stay up late and watch. They hid quietly behind some clothes hanging in the corner of the room. They waited quietly, their hearts full of excitement and curiosity. It was very dark, and the night was still. They didn't make a sound, hoping the little helpers would come as they always did. At midnight, just as the shoemaker and his wife had hoped, two small men entered the shop. They were very tiny, no taller than children, and they were not wearing any clothes. They quickly ran to the workbench where the shoemaker usually left the leather. But to their surprise, there was no leather. Instead, there were little shirts, coats, trousers, and stockings. The little men stopped in their tracks and looked at the clothes. At first, they were surprised, but then they became very happy. They started to jump up and down with joy. They quickly took off their old, worn-out clothes and began to put on the new ones. They dressed themselves with great excitement, and soon they were wearing the clothes that the shoemaker and his wife had made for them. The little men were so happy. They danced around the room, singing loudly, "Now we are boys so fine to see. Why should we be cobblers anymore?" They jumped, danced, and skipped all around the room. They were so full of joy and happiness that the shoemaker and his wife could not help but smile. The little men were so cheerful and full of life, and it was clear that they loved the clothes they had received. After dancing around for a while, the little men ran to the door and left the shop. The shoemaker and his wife sat quietly, watching them leave. They had been so amazed by the little man's happiness. The shoemaker and his wife had worked hard to make the clothes, and it felt good to see how happy the little men were with their gift. The next day, when the shoemaker woke up, he noticed that something was different. The little man had not returned. They had not come to help him with his work, and there were no new shoes made. The shoemaker felt a little sad, but he understood. The little man had helped him for so long, and now it was time for them to go. He and his wife had shown their gratitude, and the little man had been happy with their gift. Even though the little man had stopped helping, the shoemaker's life continued to be better. His business was still growing. He had plenty of leather to make shoes, and he was able to live a comfortable life. The shoemaker never forgot how the little man had helped him when he was poor. They had changed his life in a way he would never forget. The shoemaker learned an important lesson. He learned that showing gratitude and kindness is very important. When the little man helped him, they didn't ask for anything in return. They just helped because they wanted to. And when the shoemaker and his wife gave them clothes, they showed their thanks in a simple, kind way. This act of kindness made the little man happy, and it made the shoemaker and his wife feel good too. Even though the little man never returned, the shoemaker's life was full of happiness. He knew that being kind and showing gratitude would always be important. His life had changed because of the help he received, and he would always remember the lesson of kindness. The shoemaker's business continued to grow, and he became a successful man, but he never forgot the little man who had helped him when he needed it most. The shoemaker's story teaches us that kindness, hard work, and gratitude can change our lives. By helping others and showing appreciation, we can make the world a better place, just like the shoemaker and his wife did. The little man taught them this lesson, and the shoemaker lived the rest of his life, happily, knowing the power of kindness and giving. In the end, the shoemaker's life completely transformed, all because of the kindness and help of the mysterious little man. When he was struggling and nearly out of hope, the little man helped him by finishing the shoes he had cut out, even though he had not asked for their help. Every day, they worked tirelessly and skillfully, giving him a chance to keep his business going. The shoemaker, with his honesty and dedication to his craft, soon gained success. His life became more comfortable, and his shop became busier. But the shoemaker didn't forget the little man. He wanted to show them his gratitude, so he and his wife made clothes for the helpers, which made the little men very happy. After they received the clothes, the little men danced around, expressing their joy. After that, they never returned, but the shoemaker's life continued to prosper. This story teaches us a very important lesson about kindness, hard work, and gratitude. The shoemaker's hard work and good heart allowed him to survive difficult times, and the help from the little man showed that kindness can come from unexpected places. Sometimes, even when we do not ask for help, someone will step forward to support us. But when we receive help, it is important to show gratitude. Just like the shoemaker and his wife, we should always be thankful for the kindness shown to us and give back in our own way, even if it is a small gesture. In life today, we can apply this lesson by being kind to others and always showing our appreciation for the help we receive. We should not take kindness for granted, and we should always try to help others when we can. This can create a positive cycle where kindness and gratitude keep growing, just as it did in the shoemaker's life. It also teaches us that even when times are tough, hard work and a good heart can lead to success, and kindness will always be remembered. Congratulations on improving your English listening and understanding skills by following along with the story. You've done an excellent job listening to the full story, and now, let's see if you can remember some key points. Here's a small quiz question for you. Question: what did the shoemaker do to show his gratitude to the little man? A. He gave them money. B. He made them clothes and shoes. Please comment your answer or B below. Also, if you enjoyed this story and found it helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support us and help us keep creating content like this. We are doing this for free to help you improve your English, but running the channel takes time and resources, so any donations are greatly appreciated to keep the channel going and provide even better content in the future. Thank you so much for being here.